Hey lovelies, it's your host Kim back again with another episode for the Self-Love Witch podcast. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope you guys are blessed and highly favored. Hope you guys are practicing saying no in this season and no for November. Let people know where they got you messed up. Let people know where they, where they can go if they don't know how to flow. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. So I always say today is a special episode because all of them are special. But this one in particular, this one is very personal. They all are personal, but this one is really personal because I'm really going to be digging into my life and I'm really going to be giving y'all all the details, I'm really finna be laying it out for y'all today. So I put a poll on my Instagram and I asked everybody, I said, what podcast topic would you guys like next? I made a commitment to make 2022 my selfish year. So that was my year of legit focusing on me, focusing on my pleasure, focusing on what made me happy, focusing on what brought me joy, focusing on what brought me bliss and just stuff that I want to do wholeheartedly. I made a complete commitment to saying no to things that I did not want to do, things that I did not like, stuff that I did not feel aligned with. I didn't try to force anything. I was like, it is what it is. It's not what it's not. I didn't try to fight it. I didn't try to make sense of it. I just flowed with the flow and I got some juice. I got some details, okay? So where do I begin? So first of all, I want to talk about what a selfish year is to me. So to me, a selfish year, or a selfish life, because I really feel like this should be a lifestyle, to be honest. After this, I don't feel like I'm ever going back. Matter of fact, I know I'm not going back. So when I dedicated, this was my first year of being selfish. And by selfish, I don't look at selfish as a derogatory term. I look at selfish as a way of saying I chose to make sure I preserved myself. I chose to make sure I honored myself. I chose to make sure I was valued in every dynamic. I went to make sure that I am thought of, concerned for, you know what I mean? I wanted to make sure that everywhere I went, it was a place where I was welcome. Everything I did, it was a thing that made me feel good. Even the food I ate, I tried to make sure the majority of the food I ate was stuff that made me feel good. I gained a lot of discipline because I was like, I have to learn to love what's good for me. And because at the end of the day, my goal, my whole purpose for this year was to just go strive for things that made me happy and brought me bliss. And when you come from years or situations where you were constantly in a state of anger or you were miserable or you were angry or were sad, I feel like coming into a state of focusing on your pleasure and your bliss and your joy, it takes time to learn. You do have to have discipline. People think, to be happy doesn't take work. Yes, it does, especially if you're not used to being happy. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real here because that's what we do. If you're not used to being happy, it's going to take some time. And it does take work. It does take work. I could say this from personal experience. It does take work to learn to honor your pleasure and honor your happiness in every decision. And to not choose things where you have to struggle first to get an outcome. And I feel like that's a whole other topic of just learning how to flow. But this also goes into just learning how to flow and to believe that you do not have to struggle. You do not have to fight. You do not have to force anything in life for things to work out for you, because what is for you will work out. So, boom, I hit on what a selfish year is, right? So why did I choose to have a selfish year? Like I said, I feel like the past, goodness gracious, I feel like from 2016 to 2021, those years were just filled with so much BS. It was a lot of BS. It was a lot of trauma. It was a lot of, goodness gracious, dealing with people that I would rather have not dealt with. It was a lot of victimization, both, from myself, but also from others. It was a lot of pain. It was a lot of wake-up calls, especially when you're learning about yourself and you're learning about what you accepted. You're learning about your perception of love because of how you grew up, because of what you did or did not have, what you did receive, what you did not receive growing up, learning the ways that you settled, being upset with yourself, learning how you, betray the ways that you betrayed yourself, the ways that others betrayed you. It was a lot of reflection during those years. And I feel like for 2022, I was like, I want to be on a whole new outlook. I want to have a whole new perception of life. My life does not have to involve suffering. My life does not have to involve being a victim to other people's action towards me, because I was in that state for a while, a long time. It was me taking my power back. It was me saying what other people have done to me, or what other people would do. It's not a reflection of me. Like what someone else does, that is something that they woke up, their brain decided to do, and they did it. Now, if that's what they wanted to do, and of course, if I had no part in you just being a mean person to me, or just being a person that was not nice to me, or just was not considerate of me, or that honored me as a person, if I know I was a good person to you, I'm not taking on that burden of wondering why you did what you did to me, because at the end of the day, you probably don't even know why you did what you did to me. And at the end of the day, that takes a lot of self-awareness. And I'm not even trying to be on a tip of, superiority. But the truth is, why should I do your mental work for you? I'm not going to sit here and try to calculate why you do what you do, or why you move like you move. I just know my only job is, when I learn how you feel and I learn how you move about me, is to get you the fuck away from where I am. And that's how I really like to simplify stuff, now, because you think too hard and you can get yourself in this cycle, and it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean? So that's why I decided to have my selfish year, and I felt it was needed because I was ready to be in a different perception. I was ready to change my perspective of life, and of love, and of happiness, and of my pleasure, and just of everything. I wanted to see what life was like when I didn't expect the worst, and I expected my bliss to be met. You know what I mean? So where do I begin? I feel like when I was like, I want to have my selfish year, I was really focused on a few things, like tangible and intangible things. Definitely my money, want to increase that, of course. But also just examining love, not only from the love that a person could give to me, but also from the love that I can give myself. And I know y'all hear me all the time talking about self-love, but this was a different type of thing. I wanted to make sure that everything I expected out of another person, or that I wanted from another person, that I wholeheartedly gave it to myself. And this is like off the cliche tip. Like, it sounds cliche, I know. But I really was like, I really want to focus on being and embodying everything that I want. And not only that, every feeling that I want to feel when I'm with another person, romantically, sexually, whatever, in any kind of way, platonically, I wanted to make sure I could make myself feel those ways too, and figure out the ways that I could do that, because I didn't want to become dependent on how another person made me feel. I felt like it was important for me to learn how to know how to make myself feel certain feelings, so that I would never associate another person to be the sole deliverer of those things that I needed. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be codependent in any way whatsoever. So that's why I really want to make this my selfish year, and really navigate, what things I want, and what things that I could actually give to myself. But, I ain't finna sit here and say I wasn't dating, though, because your girl was dating, okay? That's another topic. But, I feel like my dating experiences were actually very, they're actually very good. My dating experiences were very good, and I think it was because I don't know. I think because I didn't look at these connections as things that were supposed to feel something. It was just more so something I was experiencing. And so it made it very bearable. It made a lot of things very bearable. It made ending things very bearable and very easy. It made feeling things very easy. It made enjoying things very easy. Because I knew at the end of the day, my goal was to just be in spaces that honored me. And it was not black and white for me. It was very cut and dry. It was, it was, if I feel this is serving me and it's, making me feel how I feel I should feel and making me grow and making me, feel like it's not stifling my journey, then I'm gonna be here. But if it's not, then deuces. That's it. Bye. And so with my pleasure, I've been very explicit about this, that I've been celibate. I've been celibate for 15 months. And I tell people they never believe me ever. But I think that's because I'm a very sensual person. I have no problem talking about, sensuality or intimacy or anything like that. And I don't shy away from it either. But I just know at this time I was wanting to really explore that for myself. If you get what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying. We're talking self-pleasure here. It was really nice. It was really nice. That's a whole other video that I want to talk about. My year of celibacy. I learned a lot there. But the main thing that I want to touch on is because if we're talking about the selfish year, we got to touch on everything, right? My pleasure. I had to learn my pleasure was not only sexual. It was also very much so sensual and also very mental and intellectual and spiritual. I learned different ways that to feel good, and different ways to give that to myself, and other ways to make sure that I was being, if I was dating or if I was engaged with someone else, I was aware of what I liked and what I did not like, and what would do it for me and what would not do it for me, especially intellectually, conversation wise, mental wise, because I'm a person, you have to stroke my brain. You have to stroke my brain. I have to feel like when you speak, I need to feel like you're grazing your hands across my brain. And it's just like, my brain is just like oozing with this juice of just like, oh yes. You know what I mean? I need to feel that. That's the kind of energy I need, So boom, we touching on that. And then also my desires, which, are not only sensual, but also just desires of what I want in life, what I want today, what I want tomorrow, what I want to eat tomorrow, what I want to do on Saturday. Just little things like that. I was just making sure nothing was dependent on another person at all. If I made plans to go take a trip somewhere and everyone reneged, I'm still going. I made sure what I wanted to do, I stuck to it because I deserve that. And I deserve to show up for myself. I deserve to give myself what I want. So one of the ways that I had to work towards healing the portion of myself that was really like, oh my gosh, this is hard. Like, how do I just stay focused and just keep choosing pleasure? Just keep choosing me at all times. Like, how do I do this? And I was like, well, first, girl, you got to believe you deserve it. You have to believe you deserve it. Because why not? Why not? Why don't you deserve it? That's what I really want to ask people. When people tell me they want so-and-so, they want this, this, and this, and I'm like, okay, you believe you deserve it, right? And they're like, oh, I feel like I got to do this. No. Do you believe you deserve it? Because at the end of the day, you see people with these things, or you see people with this life that you envision for yourself, or whatever the case may be. You don't know them from Tom, Dick, and Harry. You don't know what they've done to get where they are. You don't know what they do when they log off, because obviously you're looking at pictures. You don't know them. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know what they've gone through. But you believe wholeheartedly because they have it that they deserve it. That's not always the case. You just have to believe you deserve it, and that is it, and that is all. So I had to internalize that. I had to believe I deserved it, and I deserved everything that I was trying to manifest and everything that I desired. And then I was also like, everything that I desire desires me right back due to the fact of sympathetic vibrations. Everything that I vibrate within, everything that I embody, nevertheless, when I come across the same vibration, we are going to be in harmony. We are going to vibrate towards each other. That's with opportunities, that's with people, that's with everything. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you can come across something that's completely not your vibe. Eventually, you guys are going to get the amount of frequency that is so disheveled because y'all are not matching. Eventually, it's going to cause a disruption. You can only hang out with somebody you don't like for so long. Eventually, the energies are just going to completely repel each other. So that's why I believe, eventually everything comes, when it needs to come. But you just have to stay in that vibration that whatever you desire is going to come. Just don't switch up. Keep your vibration. So that way it can keep coming. The moment you switch your vibration to try to go towards something is not for you, or that that's not what you're going towards, you're messing up the whole flow. Now you got to tune back into your energy, however you got to do it, because who knows how thrown off balance you can get, by distractions or, just things that you don't really want. Who knows how long it's going to take you to get back on track. You know what I mean? So I just say stay in your energy, stay in your vibration, and trust that everything that desires you right back, and it's going to come. You just have to believe that it's going to come. Just speak it. I swear, y'all. I made a vision board. What day was it? It was December 31st to January 1st. I made a vision board. I was so intentional with that vision board. Everything I cut out, I placed it in a specific spot. I put specific words. I put all this stuff. And when I tell you, it is November 9th, I think. When I tell y'all every single thing, just about, I got 2-3 more things. Just about every single thing on that thing came true. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to believe it. You got to put it out there. You just got to put it out there and believe it. And stay on that vibration. Don't forget what you're going towards. You know what I mean? So that was really my selfish year. Just staying in my vibration, knowing what I wanted was coming, and not settling for nothing else that was not what I wanted. Just saying no. Learning to say no. That's not what I'm wanting? No, absolutely not. That's not what I feel like doing? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? But I was also not strict with myself when it came to me having fun, and when it came to me working as much as I played. I played so much this year. I played so much this year. I had an amazing year, the best year of my life, honestly, of my adult life, that I can honestly say that. It was the best year of my adult life. I really allowed myself to not be restrained by my old perceptions of life. And I really pushed myself to really change my perspective. You know what I mean? I had, and it took time. It took a lot of time. You have to train yourself. Whatever it took, affirmations, being out in nature, sticking to something consistently. I mean, even with working out, y'all, let me tell y'all something. I got into a workout regimen. There were times I was working out and I boo-hoo cried in the middle of my workouts because I was like, Lord, I used to be 50 pounds lighter than this. And working out is harder when you get bigger. It's harder. And, because I didn't address, I started looking at my weight as something that was it was something that came about from me just neglecting myself. You know what I mean? And it definitely was. I'm gonna be real about that. I was neglecting myself. I was depressed. I was sad. I was, in a relationship that was not healthy. And, when you're in survival mode, the last thing you're concerned about is your health, to be honest. You're just concerned about keeping your mental top tier so that you can operate on a day-to-day. So, in the midst of, my selfish year and choosing myself, I was like, okay, a part of choosing myself is I got to heal these parts of myself that I feel like, were results of me not choosing myself, were results of me neglecting myself. So I broke down mid-workout, honey. Mid-workout, broke down crying. But guess what? After I got done crying, I wiped that tear. I grabbed that dumbbell and I kept going. Because at the end of the day, you know, you realize every time you quit or give up or just stop, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't. But when you keep going and you keep choosing yourself and you keep choosing to go towards, you know, despite all that, it builds your character, it builds your endurance, it builds your story, it builds your strength. So, you know, that I just want to throw that in there because it's not all peachy, you know, fun. It's not all, you know, it's work. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, like, I'm so proud of myself, and I don't think I've ever been as proud of myself as I am now because I really committed to just choosing myself, and it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. So let me get back on track. I am on track, but I got notes right here because I want to touch on everything. So a part of believing that everything you desire desires you back, I want to touch on making sure that we believe that, you know, we can have all we want. When we talk to kids, we tell kids, you could be anything you want to be. You can go anywhere you want to go. Just believe. But how come when we reach, 18 and go up a little bit in age, it's like, you need to be realistic. Like, am I not still a child of God? That's what I want to know. Am I not still a child of God? I just want to know. When did it change? I'm still a child in the eyes of God. Why y'all trying to tell me to be realistic? Let me go for where I want to go for. Believe in me. You know what I mean? Period. So I feel like the same energy you give these kids, the same grace you give children, the same way you look at them with admiration, you need to look at yourself like that. For real. Especially when you're in a new space and you're trying to become a new person and you're trying to build yourself up. You are still a child in that sense. You know, you're always learning. You are never experienced when it comes to life. You're always learning something new. You don't know. You don't got all the answers, Sway. So you got to make sure that you are gracious with yourself and gracious with others, but most of all yourself, because we're talking about ourselves. This is selfish year content. We're talking about ourselves. You know what I mean? So be gracious with yourself. You know, nurture yourself. Be kind to yourself. You deserve that. And don't base how other people treat you on how you should be treating yourself. Let your perception of yourself and let your treatment of yourself always never ever be accessible or able to be tainted by another person. Keep that. That's a strong suit. That's a great strength to have. Your self-confidence, your self-awareness, keep that completely inaccessible from other people. Okay, because you know yourself best. And tap into your imagination again. That was huge for me. Like, being able to sit back. I used to daydream so much when I was younger. And I kind of stopped. And like now, I'll lay back on my couch and I'll start envisioning like, visualizing whatever. I don't even care. I be living in my head. It's a nice way of living. It's a nice way of living. I don't, now that we're older, we can visualize and actually get up and do a lot about it now. You know what I mean? So as much action as we put forth, I feel like we need to do the same amount of visualization. You know what I mean? Visualizing and believing and acting on it within an equal manner. But I am pro visualization. I feel like this may be an unpopular opinion, but sometimes I feel like you don't really need to be doing anything. You just have to tune into that vibration and just believe and visualize. And I swear certain stuff just be coming. Like, you don't even have to do as much as you think. In reality, you really don't. You just have to believe and visualize. And I promise stuff just be working out. And that taught me so much this year because I swear I was stressing over a lot of things at some points. And I was like, I'm not even finna acknowledge this because I'm not giving this thing power right here. I'm just going to trust it's going to work out. And lo and behold, it will always work out in the most perfect ways, the most like chef's kiss. Like I couldn't even envision this coming about, but it would just come at a perfect time. And I'm like, oh, That's exactly what I needed. I knew it was coming. But I just took a chill pill on it. I just, put it in the back burner because I knew it was going to work out. I feel like with Selfish Year, you get a certain amount of trust, too, about yourself. You get a certain amount of trust in life, too. You know what I mean? Because you're not basing so much on other people and other things outside of yourself. You just have more of a trust in how things work out for yourself. And I feel like that's been a beautiful thing, to be honest. But yeah, tapping into your imagination, healing that inner child, working in your creative energy more, doing what you want to do when you want to do it, okay? And being mindful that everything does not have to be logical and doesn't have to make sense to other people. I am pro having a childlike free mind, letting your imagination flow, letting myself just think whatever, wear whatever. If y'all saw some of the outfits I put on this year, it was stuff I would never have imagined putting on. I tapped into other aesthetics because I was like, I want to do that, and that's what I'm going to do. And I just felt so multifaceted because I've allowed myself to express myself in ways that I limited myself in doing because I wanted to uphold a certain facade or a certain perception of myself to other people. And now, frankly, I do not care about how people perceive me. I don't want to be perceived. If you want to learn me, that's fine. But I don't care to be perceived. I just want to live my life. And so I feel like the Selfish Year just really taught me enough with caring about how people are going to see you. Just make sure I'm authentically me and making sure I'm a good person with a genuine heart, with good intentions towards people. And that's really it. At the end of the day, people are going to perceive you how they want to perceive you. And that's not your problem. You know what I mean? The right people will come to you. The right people will be there. And it is what it is. And the Selfish Year has really been a matter of choosing me. And I will say, I'm gonna commit to this for the rest of my life. It's a done deal. We're married now. So I will let whoever my future spouse know, hey. As long as you are also committing to marrying me and allowing me to be in my selfish energy to where you are not offended by it or feeling the need to compete with it, then we are good. And you should want to be with someone who wants you to choose yourself and wants you to expand yourself and learn what you need to learn about yourself, allowing you to explore yourself. You know what I mean? But that has been my experience with my Selfish Year for 2022. I want to thank y'all for tuning into the Self-Love Witch podcast. Y'all know I love coming out here to speak to y'all. Y'all know that. Please follow the Instagram at the Self-Love Witch podcast. Or you can follow my personal Instagram at Intentional Mommy, MAMI. And like I said, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have a lovely night. Happy full moon. Do what you gotta do, mommy, papi, okay? And blessed love. I will see y'all later. A new episode's coming this month. I'm trying to stay consistent, one every week. So bear with me. But much love. Y'all stay blessed. Bye.